welcome back to another video. So it has been a little while since I uploaded a video here on YouTube. And so I just kind of wanted to get on and say hello and let you know kind of what I've been up to the past few months, especially since what I've been up to I am super excited about. But first, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who subscribed. Last week, we passed 1K subs on YouTube, and I'm so excited about that. So I now have access to the community posts, which means when you get onto YouTube, I can kind of like give you updates, sort of like a typical social media post on your homepage, which is super exciting. And it was kind of fun tracking my growth with my channel, because with all my other social media outlets, I've never really cared to grow. I never really like kept track of it. It was kind of just whatever it was, it was. But with YouTube, it's a little bit different because you can monetize. And so I kind of have been setting goals and keeping track of that. And so when I got on, especially after not having posted in a while, and I saw that I passed 1K, I was like, that's so awesome. So thank you for all of you who are subscribed to my channel. Now, what I want to tell you, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you may have already seen, but I have a new book coming out in the springtime, and I'm so excited about it. It has been a long time coming. I wrote this book, I drafted this book. Oh my gosh, I was actually pregnant with my youngest son. So he turned 10. So I drafted this book a long time ago, and I drafted it in about 3 months. And then I had him and I set it aside, and I kind of have just been going back and forth with this book. I'll revise it, I'll shelve it for a while, and then other projects come up and I don't have the time to work on it. And so it's just been like this going back and forth for a while. I was initially planning on traditionally publishing this book. It is not an Orthodox book. It's a regular, secular, young adult novel, but it is set on the island of Galimnos, Greece, and so there are a lot of Orthodox elements just organically because that's where the story takes place. But it's, like I said, it's historical fiction. It takes place during the Italian occupation, pre-World War II, and it is about a young girl and her friends who are tired of living under the Italians' thumb. And so as things progressively get worse, as they get closer and closer to World War II, they decide to take matters into their own hands, and they form this secret knitting society where they spy on troops, and any intel that they gather, they knit into doilies using Morse code. Now that is actually a true story. There were a lot of European female code breakers, and women would literally do that. They would sit at train stations and different ports, and they would just sit there and knit and spy, and nobody ever batted an eye at them. One, because they were women, and two, because what could women sitting there knitting, you know, how much harm can they really cause, right? Turns out a lot. And female code breakers were actually essential to war efforts during World War II. And so that's kind of what the story is about. And the protagonist is a 17-year-old girl, and she is the one who kind of spearheads this whole secret, you know, society, and she ends up falling in love with one of the Italian soldiers. And so at this point, she has to choose between freedom and love. And so I'm so excited to share this with you. And so that will be coming out in the spring. And so I have just been busy just with the editing of the novel and kind of setting everything in motion. I did originally plan to traditionally publish this book, but in the end, I decided to take the indie publishing route, and I don't think that's necessarily a good fit for every book. I'm what they call a hybrid author, and that means that I have work that is both traditionally published and indie published. And I chose this route mostly because it's very, this story and this entire book is very cohesive with my Orthodox Mom brand. And so I really feel confident in marketing this book. I don't know, it just feels like the right choice. Now I have some other things that I'm working on that I don't feel confident marketing and kind of going at it from an indie publishing route that I am planning on querying and, you know, going the traditional route again. But yeah, I just felt like this was the right decision for this book. And so I just finalized plans with the cover design team and my editor. I'm using the same editor. She actually works, she's the editor for a major teen imprint. And she also freelances. And so she helped me on my developmental edits a while ago. And so she's going to be doing my copy editing and line editing and things like that. And so I'm kind of just setting up the timeline for all of that. And just basically trying to get through this last round of edits and revisions and all that. And yeah, I am super, super excited. So you may have seen this on my social media, this version of the cover. And so I don't know if I mentioned, it's called Stealing Freedom. These are both just proofs. Neither of these are the actual cover. Neither of these will be the final cover. These were just fun proofs that I put together because after I finish all of the major revisions, I always like to print the manuscript out in a different format, just because your eyes kind of play tricks on you. And I'm so used to reading it off of my screen and printing it out, you know, like on normal paper, that you read what you think you wrote instead of what you actually wrote. And so since I decided to indie publish, I was like, well, let me get on KDP and print out my proof and go through there and just start making my edits straight in the book. And it was so exciting, even just to get this proof in, even though this is not the final cover. This is not what the book will ultimately look like. It will actually look a lot better than this because I just kind of did this on a whim. But it was just cool to see all of those words in this story printed out and bound and being that much closer to being an official book. And it's just kind of a satisfying feeling after all that work. And if you're a writer, you know the blood and sweat and tears that get poured into a novel. It's about 74,000 words. And so yeah, it was a really good feeling just printing it out. I was like, wow, this is happening. And so for a long time, I prayed about what the right route to take with this book would be. And I had gotten a lot of really fantastic feedback from editors and agents that I was querying. I got several full requests, and I really thought that I was going to go the traditional publishing route for a while. But in the end, I just didn't feel like that was the right choice, primarily because, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, I feel confident marketing this because I feel like the readership that I already have, this is the kind of stuff that they like. This is kind of what they expect from me. And so I feel good marketing that. But the other reason was because the other project that I have in mind, which I'm not going to tell you about, so I actually started writing. Sometimes you kind of need a palate cleanser between stories. And this story was so research heavy. And, you know, there's a lot of more serious topics. You know, it's during a war, it's historical fiction. And while there's a lot of really fun elements, it's a heavier story. And so when I finished the story and I set it aside for a while to just kind of give myself some space from the story and come back to it with fresh eyes, I started writing a different kind of story, something I have never written, something I never imagined I would write. I never even really thought I wanted to write this, but I just did it for fun and because I'm trying to think of how to word this without giving it away, but it was that season, I'll put it that way. And so I just started writing it for fun just because I needed something I wanted to be writing, and it was really fun to write. And I could not believe how much fun I had writing this. I had so much fun. It honestly was the easiest manuscript I have ever written. I've written several stories. I have several manuscripts that I've written, but I didn't submit them all. They're not all going to be published, but I'm constantly writing. And so that's kind of what that was supposed to be. But because I loved it so much, and because it was not easier, but easier for me, probably because I had just come off of Stealing Freedom, which, like I said, had so much research involved. And this really didn't have that kind of research. So it was just a lot of fun. And so when I thought about what I wanted for long-term goals, as far as my writing career went, I see myself having more of a career in this genre that I'm not telling you about than young adult. And that's for a lot of reasons that I'm not really going to get into. But yeah, it felt like the right move. I felt totally at peace with my decision. I'm super, super excited about it. And so I'm just really grateful that things worked out this way and I didn't jump the gun with publishing this, and I gave myself that time. Even if it took a while, that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that because I had a lot going on. I had Songs of Praise come out, 2 years ago. And so, it's been busy anyway. And so yeah, I'm super excited about this novel and I can't wait to share it with you guys. I will be posting on my social media when it's time for me to organize a launch team. Similar to what I did for Stealing Freedom, I'll put a post up. There'll be a Google form that you guys can fill out if you're interested. And basically that would mean that you get a review copy of the book, and then in turn, you'll help me spread the word on social media. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some questions I had on my Instagram. I put a little sticker up when I announced it for people to ask any questions they had about a book. And so I'm just going to read a couple of those here. Some of them I kind of already mentioned, so I'll skip over those. But one person wrote, "Yahoo, what's it about? Can't wait to read it." And so the unofficial Jacket Flap book blurb is, everything about 17-year-old Bobby Capsulis' life has changed now that rumors of a second Great War are looming. Though the occupying forces are becoming more aggressive and life on the small Greek island of Galimnos more regulated, Bobby can only think about one thing: freedom. When Bobby joins the resistance, she rallies other island girls and forms a secret society where they spy on troops and use Morse code to knit the information into unsuspecting doilies. She knows she's risking everything: her family, her friends, her reputation, even her life. But when Bobby falls in love with the enemy and gets caught, her entire plan begins to unravel. Is freedom worth the cost of everything she loves? So that's not going to be the official book blurb. I'm still kind of finalizing and I keep changing it around, but that gives you the gist of what the story's about. So somebody else wrote, "Is it orthodox?" No, it is not orthodox. It's a regular, secular, young adult novel. But because it takes place on the island of Galimnos, there are a lot of orthodox elements. So no, but yes. What age is this for? So it is a young adult novel, which is typically teens, but it definitely has crossover appeal because it's kind of bordering like young adult and new adult. New adult is not technically a category, but it kind of is. But it definitely, adults I think will enjoy it as well. So fiction or nonfiction, historical fiction. I got a lot of comments on how much they love the cover, but like I mentioned earlier, that is not the final cover. I will do a cover reveal as we get closer. Will it be available to shipping to Greece or Australia? Will it be translated? There are no plans for translation right now. And honestly, I'm not sure if it will be shipping internationally, and if so, where just yet, but stay tuned. As I get that information, I will share it. What inspired you to write it? And so my answer to that was the journeys and experiences of my immigrant family members. I love stories that remind us of the things that are important in life. It's important to grow wings, but to also know and embrace your roots. I personally will never forget where I came from. And I love stories like that. I love stories that encourage a reader and inspire a reader to grow wings and to take chances and to go after the things that they want in life. But I also really value stories that embrace your roots. And a lot of people will toss phrases around like, remember where you came from, as an insult, where I'm the kind of person that I'm like, yeah, I will never forget where I came from. I am very proud of my culture, both my Greek culture and my Slovak culture. I am very proud of who I am and where I came from. And I think those stories are important. And so while it's okay okay to grow wings, I think it's also important to embrace our roots. And so this story, the original idea for this story kind of popped in my head and started growing when I was talking to my great aunt. She was telling me about her experience coming from Galimnos to America through Ellis Island with my great-grandmother and my uncles. And I was just so inspired by her story that I created a story based on that. And so while I did take creative liberties and most of the story is made up, it's fiction, the history itself, the backbone of the history of the book is absolutely accurate. When can I buy it? This spring, 2022. When and where will it be available? It will be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your favorite indie bookstore, wherever books are sold. If it's not there, you can always request it and they can bring it in for you. I didn't know this until I started getting into publishing, but I just assumed when you published a book, it was automatically on the bookstore shelves, which I guess thinking about it, that's kind of ridiculous. But a lot of authors never get their books actually on the shelf. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. So if you go to a bookstore and they don't have it once it's published, you can request it and they can order it for you. When will it come out on Kindle? I'm not sure. I think that the ebook version comes out before the print version, but I'm not 100% sure. And again, those are the kinds of details that as we get closer, I will share more about that. How can we help promote this? Share, share, share. So post it on your social media, repost my, my posts, my stories, spread the word, tell your friends. Yeah, just talk. And leave reviews. Reviews for author, even though I personally never read my reviews, because you can have 100 good reviews and then you just have one person that wants to like annihilate everything you've worked for. And so I just don't read them. I appreciate them and I know that they're super important for authors as far as like your book ratings. So I'm encouraging you, I'm asking you to please leave an honest review, but I probably won't read it unless you send it to me. Are you planning a launch team? Yes, I am planning a launch team. I mentioned this earlier. It'll be just like it was for Songs of Praise. I'll post a sign up post, and then you'll be able to fill out the Google Doc, and I will go from there in choosing the launch team. So what that means is I'll give you an arc to review, and then you will post your honest opinion and help me spread the word about the book. What inspired you to write a book set on Galimnos? Galimnos is the island my family's from, and their stories really just inspired the idea for this book, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. I will be super busy with that over the next coming months, but like I said, I have a lot of footage that I filmed, and so I just need to set some time aside. We started our homeschool year, and so it's just been really busy. And over the summer I did film a lot, but I didn't have time for editing. I was just kind of trying to soak up that time with my family. And so yeah, now that we're back in the rhythm of things, I'm hoping to get back to posting weekly videos. And sharing more about this process as it goes on. As I start getting sample covers and things like that, I will definitely be sharing. And yeah, that's about it. So that is where I've been. Again, thank you to those of you that are already subscribed to my channel. If you're not subscribed, hit that button, ring the bell so that you can be notified when I post in the future. And thanks for watching.